All right, it is Wednesday, October 4th. Had a red day today. 2 wins, 1 loss. My first trade of the day was a loss right here. And as you can see, I was down $65 on my PA accounts, just about, and I had a loss of $2,633 on my evaluation accounts. That includes a large loss here on this number 17 evaluation, which was blown up today. And that's okay. I knew that I was testing max contracts on it, which essentially means with the strategy, I needed 4 wins to pass, and any loss would be a blow up. So that eval is now off the table for now, unless I let it renew next month. I'm not going to reset it. My 2 PA accounts that I've been trading, I lost $199 each on those. It was a little bit worse after the first loss, so I don't feel too bad about this. We're still okay. We've got plenty of drawdown, about $650. So I'm not going to be too worried about that right now. Just, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We'll try to get this $187 back in the next day or two and still work towards a payout. You'll see that I did add this account today. This is the first time I'm trading this PA account number 1. And I didn't add it until after the first loss. So I decided that since I had a setback on these PA accounts and I thought the odds were very small of me getting another loss right away after taking a loss, I felt comfortable to add this to my copy trader and was 2-0 on this PA number 1. So that's good, headed in the right direction there on the first day of trading it. So let's talk about what I'm saying here. A great strategy still needs a great trading psychology. And the reason why I say that is I really believe in the strategy. It's really good. It's really working. I'm now at the point where, since I've been trading it on these Apex accounts, 24 wins and 3 losses. And for anyone new, that does include a few break-even plus ones. They're profitable, so I'm counting them to make it simple as wins, just in terms of keeping track in my brain, in my mind, of where I'm at overall. But why we need a good psychology? Well, this loss really did something to my head today. Let's talk about that. When I took this trade, these bars didn't look like this. So before I get into that, this is how the bars look now. I took this trade. Everything seemed to fit the rules, but when I thought about it after the fact, when I was in the trade and eventually when I lost, there were a couple of things that could have tipped me off to not taking the trade. There's one thing where one of my lines was going through the bar prior to my entry, and I keep going back and forth on whether that's acceptable for a gold trade or not. But in looking back after the fact, I do notice that that had been the case on a number of trades I've taken that have worked. So, I take that with a grain of salt. The bigger reason I should have stayed out of this trade, and I've now said this a few times on my losses, is my stop loss, according to my indicator line, was way down here. I mean, there's no way. I mean, we're talking about like a 20-point stop, which is ridiculous. And it would have still hit it. So, there's just no way I should be taking a trade when I see that much separation from the lines. And I've got to figure out a way to recognize that in the, live in the moment when I'm seeing something set up. I need to figure out a way to get my eye to look and just check that it's not all the way down here, that's somewhere more reasonable. So I put it where I was willing to accept, if it goes here, I figured, okay, well then I was wrong and I'm going to take a loss. So that's where I took my stop loss. But the reason why my head is of going in so many directions on this trade, and where the psychology really gets involved, is later on in the day, I ended up doing a refresh of the historical data, and the bars completely changed. And so now, as you see these bars, and on my indicator, when I look back at it, this doesn't qualify as a trade. It's not a trade at all. And I'll just show a screenshot real quick. If you look here, this is how the bars were when I entered the trade. And so I really was entering on this bullish bar, had a bullish bar here, and I was entering above this bullish bar, which was my LO setup. And it went 2 ticks above it, got me into the trade, and just reversed. And so as you can see, side by side, the bars are now completely different. And if the bars had looked like this when I was looking at the chart, there was no setup here. There was no trade. There's no reason to take a trade. I wouldn't have even been paying attention. I would have glanced at it and just gone on with my day. So, I was really frustrated in the moment when I took the trade, because I thought, geez, why did I take that trade? The stop was too big. I shouldn't have entered it no matter what. There was a question about whether it really was a gold trade or just a white trade, based on how the bars looked and how the indicator was at the time, when the bars were like this. And so, I was frustrated with myself because I felt like, geez, I really shouldn't have taken that trade at all. And then to find out later that, with the correct historical data, it didn't even qualify for a trade. It wasn't even close to being a trade. And if the bars were like this instead of like this, I wouldn't have even had a trade at all. And to realize, well, then I would have been 2-0 today. So I'm not really sure what to think about it. I trade on the 2000 tick chart. And for anyone that trades tick charts, we all know that there's discrepancies between different people's charts. And if you refresh it, it may change. And, there's a whole lot to say there to unpack about that. And if you have any experience with it or with Max price action trading system, he's talked about it quite often. And he usually says, just trade the bars that you have on your chart for his system. But for my system, and I'm using an indicator, it's really important that the bars are correct. And so if the bars had been correct back here, put this way, if the bars had been correct back here and then I had some lapse of data, let's say in here somewhere, leading up to before this, then every bar that comes after is not correct. And then my indicator is showing something different than it would have if the bars, look like what they're supposed to look like, which is this, instead of, what they look like here, which is this. So, I'm not going to spend too much time right now kind of like trying to figure out where the bars look the same and where they start to look different. I mean, I can see just at a glance that right around here, they definitely start to look different. But even down here, they're looking different. So I'm not sure where the data lapse started, but clearly this is when I took the trade. It looks very different from what it was supposed to look like, and I got a loss because of it. And it doesn't feel good, but I don't think I could blame my strategy because I got this loss. I can blame my decision to take the trade when the stop loss was just regrettably way too huge. Like I said, I can't take it when it's that big. I'm willing to take a 8-point stop, but not a 20-point stop. So, luckily I at least put it at 7.25 and got my loss there, which, is important for like these PA accounts that I didn't just totally destroy them in one trade. So trading psychology, I trust my system. I trust what I'm doing. And so I got this loss. I realized that there was this data problem. And I said to myself, okay, don't let it affect you. It's not the strategy. It's a combination of me not recognizing the amount of risk. I got to have kind of like a limit and say anything over, say, 8 or 9 points, I'm not going to take, because I don't want my risk to be more than, say, around 4-1 in the neighborhood of, which is a lot already. And so that's a reason to not take the trade already. And, I need to learn that lesson. And then on top of that, there was a technical issue here that threw off the trade. And if the bars had been like this, I just wouldn't have taken it. So I collected myself, and, it took some time to kind of get over it. And then later in the day, of course, the next trade was a LO setup again. And, when this came to me, I have to admit, because of the first trade that I lost, I've only lost with the LOs. I haven't lost with my PB setup. So when this set up, I was, I had multiple things in my mind. I've been refreshing multiple times throughout the day to make sure that the data is correct. And now I have the LO set up again. That has failed a couple times. And but it set up, everything looked right. The rules were in place. The stop was just right here, so it wasn't too large at all. It was a very good size stop for the strategy. And so, I had to take the trade. And, I got to admit, my psychology was still messed up because when I was in the trade, I was like, oh, geez, thinking to myself, did I do the right thing? Is this a good setup? This bar didn't have a wick, which I prefer there to be a wick on this bar. And so there's all kinds of things going on in my head. But for the most part, the rules were there and I was following the rules. And, maybe the only rule I didn't follow is I do like to have a wick on this bar and there isn't. I don't know if this changed after the fact. I haven't looked. Maybe there was a wick when I took it and now there isn't. But in any case, the trade worked, thankfully. And, overall, it's still a really high percentage setup in terms of win rate. So I had the loss earlier. I'm going to figure out ways to learn from it. And so once I got this win, I started to feel better about the situation. And then we got to a PB setup here. And by the time this set up, I've still not taken a loss and it worked for 6 ticks. Clearly, if I was playing a runner, it would have got much more. Or if I didn't have my stop auto move, I would have got 8. Whatever, I'm happy with the 6 ticks. That's my strategy. And it made my day feel not so bad, especially considering this PA is up $334. So I'm a quarter of the way there, just about, in terms of getting to be able to take a withdrawal. And I just got to move forward. I got to trust the strategy. I can't let these losses get to me. There's kind of multiple things going on with this loss today. And I just have to move on and trust my strategy. And that's the whole point of me doing this YouTube, by the way. Anyway, I'm testing the strategy. I've got a small sample size. I've got 25 trades total on Apex, on actual Apex accounts. Between my PAs and my evaluations. So it's a small sample size still, and I'm just exposing this without exposing the strategy itself. I'm being completely transparent in terms of my accounts and just showing wins or losses, what happens. And at some point, we'll see a track record with a lot of trades, a lot of data, and we'll be able to see, you'll be able to see at the same time as me whether this is a viable strategy. And it feels like it is. It feels like it's going to be. The timing of losses on Apex accounts is crucial. And so today was kind of bad timing. The last thing I want to talk about before I move on is these 3 accounts here renew this weekend. So I'm going to see how they are on Friday based on trading, whether they're worth renewing or not. I am going to just, no matter what, since the sale ends for 90% tomorrow, I am going to buy 3 more to replace these regardless. So 150 and 225Ks. And I'll probably buy one to replace this as well. So that's another 25K. And then just to be even, and since it's 90%, I might buy 1 or 2 more 50K evals as well at the 90% off. And so I'm going to have a bunch more accounts tomorrow. And that's just part of my strategy. I'm really, my goal is to get a payout before the end of the year. And I'm hoping that first payout will pay for all of my expenses to that point of Apex, all of my Apex expenses. It's possible if I get another evaluation to pass and turn into a PA, then with that fee, I'll probably need a second payout. So in that case, it's good I've got these 2 going, and maybe I'll be able to get 2 payouts, one for each of these accounts around the same time or the same payout period. And then that will definitely put me in the profit for my Apex trading. So I think that's the last thing to cover now. So, we'll see new accounts tomorrow, and I'll figure out how I'm trading those. And Now, wow, this has already been a long video, 16 minutes. Okay, so I'm done for today. Here's my live trades and coming up right now, and we'll do it again tomorrow. Thanks. All right, getting ready for
order submitted.
Ella Long here.
Order submitted.
Don't like this. My stop is supposed to be lower. I wonder if I read this wrong. Not looking good. I should have really looked where my stop was supposed to be. I think I'm going to get tagged. I think I read this wrong. This is too bad. I'm gonna leave my stop here, but it should have been lower. Oh. It's too bad. I read this wrong. This was not a gold trade. I'm at the mercy of the market. Let's see if I get lucky. I don't think I will. I think this was a white trade. And I think I'm going to pay the price for it. Here it comes. It's going to get me.
Order filled.
All right, that's a bummer. I honestly think I read this wrong. I think it was a white trade. And that definitely puts I'm glad I didn't move my stop any further. I actually wish I just got out of the trade when I realized it wasn't a gold trade. And these LOs I'm finding are a little bit trickier to really read sometimes. So I need to do a better job of recognizing one aspect here that really I could see it's not really what I should be taking. But okay, so we have a loss. That's a setback, and we'll go from there. I really think I probably should have just got out of this trade for a small loss when I realized that this wasn't a gold setup that I usually look for. So, all right, this is part of the learning, and the numbers look bad, but this is an evaluation that is doing max contracts, and the rest is recoverable. So we'll go from there. This account is actually gonna blow on the next trade, unfortunately. Just looking at this trade again, and I think I'm not showing my indicator, but I think one thing that this is just me recording it to document my thoughts on why this trade lost. One thing is that my indicator line went through this bar and then touched here on this wick. And I think if it goes through the bar before the wick touch, I have to not take the trade. I think the only thing I'm looking for is a clean touch on the wick, not going through a body. There might be a short setting up here, so let me get ready.
Order submitted.
This would be a LO. That's the danger of this strategy, is I am taking trades, at the top and bottom of moves. So if I read it a little bit wrong, I could get punished. No trade. Was looking for a bearish bar there.
Order canceled.
So that is the difficult thing about taking these trades, is I'm taking the entries at the top or bottom of moves, and then my stops are pretty extreme. If I was really thinking, I need to look at where a secondary line is, because it was way down here. And that's what's supposed to indicate my stop. And when it's this far away, I just have to stop paying attention to what's happening up here and just say, well, I can't put my stop down here. So that's ridiculous, and not take the trade. I think that's something that's hung me up a couple times on a couple of these trades I've taken, where it's just too much risk and it doesn't make sense. I need to look for when the indicator is giving me a better risk reward. Even though I'm not worried about risk reward overall, generally speaking, though, it needs to be kind of in the area where I put my stop more than down here. So I can't take a trade if it's down here. It just doesn't make sense. All right, well, I'm learning and living, and you guys are with me, seeing my seeing when things are going well, and seeing when I have a little struggle. This is something I've definitely got to study a little bit more and see if there's a way I mean, I'm seeing ways that I can stay out of it. I just need to recognize them in real time. That's what I'm thinking right now. One more thing I'm going to say is this account's going to be blown. And all 4 of these are done. This account is fine. But these 3 accounts all reset, renew this weekend. So if I blow them, they're going to renew for $30. I might as well just cancel them if that happens and buy new ones for 90% off right now. So anyway, you can see, actually that's happened to me a number of times. So I'm up to 17 evaluations now, and you already saw me do it with number 17 here, I believe, or no, number 16. I had a number 6 that was going to renew, and I blew it on, I just went for it, blew it or pass it, and then got a new 16 because it was cheaper for the 90% off. And that's actually why I'm even as high on these evaluations as I am. I've done that quite a few times where it was just a better deal to cancel account and get a brand new numbered account for 90% off instead of paying for 80% off. So we'll see what happens here. These were looking so good before this trade. I think this one is really fine. I got plenty of room here. This was a new account. This one I was just testing doing max contracts, which you can see in 1 loss and you're dead. I mean, I'm less than $50 away from blowing it. So like 1 tick against me and I'll blow it with max contracts. Even if it was not max contracts, it'd be like 4 ticks and I'd blow it. So this one's going to be C'est la vie. This one, I've got room. This one, I've got room still. But again, this renews this weekend. So is it worth it? Maybe I just YOLO it this week and get a 90% off. This one's got 700. This one's got 300, 400. So we're just going to have to decide. I'm going to have to decide. I might just play it as I see it as I go today, since this was a pretty, just the timing of it, because these accounts renew this weekend. If I had gotten a win right now and these were all in good shape, then like they were, then I would let it renew for 80% off. But why spend $30-something when I can spend $16-something? Who cares what numbered accounts these are? The whole goal is to get payouts, which I set myself back here, being able to do that soon on this, going 1 contract at a time. So, the struggle is real. It's frustrating. And, the whole point of this is to see if this strategy is even viable to use with Apex. So I'll be continuing to test it and find out. I'm just going to try to stay patient and wait for my setups. I'm still a little rattled by this. I think there were plenty of reasons to stay out of it. And it just kind of formed so fast. Sometimes things happen so fast and you see it and you want to get in. But there were definitely some indications for me where the stop goes, that my line was through this body. Definitely some indications I didn't want to be in there. But, look, there was an indication to stay out of this, and it looks like it would have worked. So nothing's 100%, nothing's perfect. And just can't let it get to me too much. I think the thing that I'm most disturbed by is I was finally getting, really close to being able to scale up to 2 contracts on this particular evaluation, and really wanted to get to a payout to pay off all of my Apex fees that I've paid so far. So I think that's the biggest letdown, is now I'm back to grinding on this account again, specifically. So That's the way it goes. Let's keep looking. Okay, I just got back.
Order
Seeing a trade.
submitted.
Potentially, if this closes bullish. Nope.
Order canceled.
Nope, that wasn't it. Got out just in time. I still have a touch of my indicator on this bar. I almost just made another mistake. Cancel just in time. One loss, and it makes you it makes you prone to make more mistakes afterwards. All right,
Order submitted.
So if I get a bullish bar after this, I think I can take it. Looking for a bull bar. Nope. Okay, no trade.
Order canceled.
Difficult day. Difficult day so far for me. Okay, recording again. And if I get a bullish bar
Order
here,
submitted.
I'll enter if it goes 2 ticks above it. Definitely entering here if it goes 2 ticks. And it doesn't do it.
Order
Wow.
canceled.
Only went 1 tick above. And my rule has to go 2 ticks on the next bar. And my guess is it'll probably still work because that's what I've been seeing lately. So a little bit of frustration setting in right now for me that I wasn't able to enter this trade according to my rules. I entered this one, I took a loss, kind of the same level. And look at that, I think this one already worked. 74.25, no, it still needs to go 2 more ticks. Certainly looks like it's going to work. There it goes. So I would have got, looks like 6 ticks. Having one of those days. All right, let's see what else we get. All right, recording here. I made some changes. Since these are going to renew this weekend, I'm just doing max contracts. Well, I'm doing 4 contracts on these 3 accounts now. And this one's basically blown already. Let's see if potential short
Order submitted.
LO. I've added my PA1 trading 2 contracts on it. So I'll add that to the copy. And I've made all of my evaluations that renew this weekend for 4 contracts to either recover them quicker or blow them in time for the renewal. This one's already blown. Essentially, 1 tick pullback is going to blow this account, I'm pretty sure. Let's see if this bar is bearish. Gonna have a reasonable stop somewhere around here. I've added my PA number 1 to my trade copier, so I'll be trading a third PA if this forms. My number 17 that I was doing full contracts is going to be blown on the next trade on like a 1 tick pullback. So 17 is going to be sayonara no matter what. Yeah, I've gone 4 contracts on the top 3 evaluations because their renewals come up this weekend. Okay, I'm going to take this.
Order
I didn't go 2
filled.
ticks.
Order filled.
I jumped the gun. But it should be good. I think.
Order filled.
Okay. So we get a little bit back. I believe this count is blown because there was some pullback. So that one's dead. My new account, I had 2 contracts on that. So that's good. We got some back on these and on my PAs, which is good. So this was an LO. Nice to see the LO work again. We got, I believe, 8 ticks. 8 tick scalp. All right, so it's nice to see the LO work. I liked that setup. Was feeling a little unsure just because of my loss earlier. Nice to get a win after the loss earlier. And we'll see if anything else comes up.
Order submitted.
So I did blow this evaluation on that last trade. When it went 1 tick against me, it was blown, which is fine. I knew I was trading that with max contracts. It was basically win 4 in a row or fail. And it failed. So not sure how I feel about trading max contracts just because, 4 in a row with my track record on the strategy shouldn't be too difficult. But I don't know if I really want to just be kind of being that cavalier yet with evaluations, especially not before I've had a payout. I'm just taking a look at this.
Order submitted.
There's potential PB up here. Not everything is well positioned yet. So it's going to depend. It needs to close kind of up here. But it's going to depend on if the rest of my indicator lines up. Doesn't look like it will be.
Order canceled.
2 of my parameters are not in place, so I can't take this trade. Okay, I'm kind of glad it didn't happen on that bar. Now, if this closes up here, it should be good. And then needs to go 2 ticks above whatever this bar is. This will be the PB setup. Looking for a bullish close, either at the top of the candle now or above it. This is looking good if it breaks above 2 ticks above it on the next bar.
Order filled.
Everything looks good, so it should work. I'm expecting it to work.
Order
We
filled.
got it. What do we get? Okay, we got 6 ticks this time. But I will take 6 ticks considering how we started our day. And it's been a bit of a roller coaster today for me psychologically because of the first loss. This was PB. We got 6 tick scalp. So this seems to be an extremely reliable setup. My LO has been the only one that's given me any losses on YouTube during this experiment. But we got this one. This is good. So I'm 2 wins and 1 loss. And on this trade, I reduced these top two to 3 contracts just because of the trailing. And it's Wednesday, so I'll probably go back to 4 contracts now that the trailing is a little bit better again. And I just don't want to get taken out mid-trade, especially on this one since we're getting, maybe I'll stay at 3 contracts. Honestly, it's only a couple more trades. Gets me in a good place. We've got 2 more days. I don't want to get too crazy and just blow it on, some kind of steep pullback and get taken out mid-trade or something because of the trailing drawdown. Anyway, I'm happy for this trade. I'm glad I saw it set up and I was here for it. 2-1 today, so not so bad. It's feeling a little bit better. I'm still just kind of thrown by the first trade. I know I've already talked about it at the front of the video, but just what to think about it, considering that the bars changed in the data after a refresh. So I've been refreshing like a madman. Every 20 minutes, I think I've refreshed the rest of the day ever since I realized that the bars changed after that trade, and it wouldn't have been a trade at all. So it could have been 2-0 today if the data was correct. It's unfortunate. We'll just keep on moving on, and we'll see what we get, if anything else, for the rest of the day. All right.